to us. You're calling us out to take that next step. You're calling out to us to walk upon the water with you. God, teach us how to trust you more. Teach us how to love you more. Teach us how to be nicer to others, how to love others better, how to love ourselves better, God. We just lift all of this up to you this whole night in our lives, God. We love you. And it's in your name. Amen. All right, so now is that time. Everyone knows junior highs are actually going to go downstairs with me. Or is that true? Or is Andrew going down there? I'm going down there. Yeah. All right, who won every time? Who won every time? Yes, you really won every time?
I didn't win at all.
No. Oh Lord, did you win every time? Did you trade? Did you threaten somebody for that? Awesome. So who won every time but once? Who won every time once? Yes, so you guys won a lot. And do you feel like this is because you're observant? You have really good memories? You're lucky? Oh, because you're the best. You thought because you're the best. Awesome. On purpose? Because you beat him? Awesome. Great.
Okay, guys, so excited about tonight. We're talking again about faith and how do you do it. The Bible makes this super bold claim, that putting your faith in Jesus can completely change your life. That life of a completely different order and kind is available to you when you put your faith in Jesus. And so we're talking about what does it even mean to put faith in Jesus. And we have posited a couple of different ideas to you, but one of the main ones is faith means trust. And when you read the word faith from the Bible, when you talk about the word faith, it means trust. And so I'm so excited tonight to have a very special guest for you to come and speak. And this is your friend of mine, Grace.
Did you dye your hair? Yeah. I like it. You look good. I got highlights.
Matt, did you dye your hair?
I did. I got highlights too. Awesome. Because Grace is about to highlight something about faith.
Oh. So, I thought I had dodged the bullet sharing my testimony, but that is not the case, as you can see. But I want to share a little bit about myself with you guys, but also kind of intertwine that with the things that Matt and Kurt have been talking about the last couple of weeks about faith. And so I want you to think, this is going to be like fun Grace facts in the beginning. I want you to think of a number in your head. Don't call it out. Just think of a number in your head, and this number will reflect how many people, how many students you think were in my graduating class in high school. Okay, so just think of it.
9,000.
That would be so many. And then, does everyone have a number?
Yeah.
Okay, Matt, can you?
We ready?
Okay,
we ready?
it's kind of blurry. My dad took the photo, so it's the only one I can find.
3, 2, 1. Grace is graduating class of high school. Boom.
That's my graduating class of high school. There were 1, 2, 3, 19 of us. 18. And that's pretty crazy, right? That's how many your class was? Okay, so you get it. You understand.
That one.
I went to a school called Calvary Christian High School, and I think it really impacted the decisions I made and different things that came about in my life later on. And one of those was how I chose to go to APU. Ever since I knew what college was, I thought I was going to go to Cal Poly, because my brother, who's 8 years older than me, went to Cal Poly, and I visited Cal Poly a lot, and I thought, this is my school, this is where I'm going to go. They make their own cheese, and they make their own people told me, when you walk on a campus, you'll get a feeling. And the feeling you get when you know you want to go there, like, you'll just know. You'll know. And I was like, that's kind of weird. Like, I don't really believe that. But then I went to APU, and it kind of happened. And, but I got into both Cal Poly and APU, and I had to decide, and that made it really hard, because this school that I thought I wanted to go to my entire life, and then this other school that was so different, but so like the experiences that I had in high school, small, Christian education, all of that. It was a really hard decision, and so I took one last lap around Cal Poly and decided this is too big. This school is not my style. Too many people, too big for me. But I think if I had gone there, I'm sure I would have loved it, and I'm sure I would have had some great experiences, and my faith would have grown. But I went to APU and had some experience. And so I'm going to touch on one of those experiences with you guys. And it's just an experience that is very near and dear to my heart because it really changed the way I thought about faith and my relationship with God. And the slide that is next will show you what it is.
Oops.
My sophomore year at APU, I studied abroad in South Africa. And I spent 4 months there, and I got to work with an organization in a community that focused primarily on education. And so they would go into different schools and train teachers and give them tools and equip them and support them. And it was really awesome and incredible. And so I was seeing a lot of really cool things. But then I was also seeing a lot of really hard things. I was seeing a lot of pain. I was seeing a lot of kids who had AIDS. I was seeing a lot of poverty. I was seeing kids getting one meal a day at school. And so these things kind of brought about a spiritual crisis, I think is what Matt Heiss called it in the past. And so I was really hoping that my experience in South Africa would validate my belief in God and validate how I had seen God and what I had learned about God. But it didn't. And when I came back, I had extreme culture shock. I didn't know how to take everything that I'd seen and experienced and learned and then live my life, Grace's normal life, back in America. So I had all these questions like, is God even real? Where is he? If I'm doubting, then do I even trust him? I was questioning God's character. I felt like he was far from me. How was he going to heal and redeem the pain and suffering that I had seen with my eyes? So all these questions overcame me. And this experience that I had had in South Africa was colliding with the understanding that I thought I had about God. And you guys, I had a lot of church growing up. I had a lot of youth group. I had a lot of summer camp. I went to a Christian school with 18 people in my class. And all of these stories and lessons that I have been taught about God, that he was love, that he was joy, that he was peace, that he was just, that he's our creator, that he's sacrificial. These were all brought into question for me. And I felt this guilt inside for not just submitting to the things that I had been taught before I had gone to South Africa about God. And so I think if you go to the next slide, Yeah, so this was one of the slides from the first week that Matt taught, and I just thought I would recap it. But like, faith is not believing that there is a God with no evidence and no doubt. But that's what I felt like I was doing. I felt like I was needing to believe. I thought that I was going and having blind acceptance of God's existence, and that I felt like I needed some kind of evidence to validate all the things that I had known about God. Yeah, so the next slide. Okay, I was so focused on the absence, the things that were absent. I was like, God is not here, He's not showing up here, there is pain here. I think that's been a big theme in my life, because I've been focused on the things that are not present, what is absent, and that things will just be better if they were there, I guess. I wasn't focusing on how God was actually present, how He was showing up, and how He wanted me to trust Him, I guess. So, if you go to the next slide, it's just a slide what faith is. Faith is asking a ton of questions, trusting Jesus, saying yes to God, even when it's scary or confusing. I wish someone had told me this, before I went to South Africa, because I felt like when I got back, I put God at an arm's distance, and I said, oh geez, I have all these questions, so God, I must not be able to be near to God if I have all these questions and all these doubts. But over time, and over discussions with people, and talks with God, and a lot of processing, I realized that this is what faith is. And so when Matt and Kurt were talking, I was transported back into this time in my life of going to South Africa and coming back and experiencing all of this. And I can honestly say, coming out of it, this is what my faith has been transformed into. It is now asking a ton of questions, trusting Jesus, and saying yes to God when it's scary and confusing. I don't have this on a slide, but it was a slide. Sometimes we say faith is belief with no evidence, but it's really just about trust. And I believe that faith does not have to be blind. I think that we can have evidence for our faith. For me, faith is a continual undertaking, and it's trusting in what I know to be true about God, and allowing my eyes to see how God is working, and not focusing on where He is absent, but focusing on where He's present. So the next slide is what Kurt talked about last week, and that is faith is a relationship, and it is trust. It's trusting in who you believe God to be, while accepting that there is some mystery to Him, and there are things that you don't know, but trusting in how He is showing up, and trusting in the characteristics that He is presenting to you. So I wrote down a list of things when I open my eyes and when I really allow myself to see the presence of God instead of seeing the absence of God. I wrote down a list of things I see, and of evidence of how I have seen God at work, and evidence that really supports my faith and my trust in God. And I'm just going to read them to you guys. I see God's beauty mirror in the trees on a hike. I see Him in creation on the coastline. I see pure joy when students at youth group are laughing hysterically about who knows what. and I see God working when a friend is speaking truth on behalf of another friend. So, South Africa is like one little snapshot of my faith journey, but it's a big one, I would say. And I guess the one thing I would want you to know about my life is that I've had some pretty awesome experiences and some pretty painful ones, I guess, and some have been a combination of both at the same time. And South Africa, coming back from South Africa was when I completely shut my eyes to the Lord. I didn't even know how to process. I didn't even know how to let him enter into the things that I was experiencing. I didn't want to allow him to work, and I didn't want to see where he was going to show up. But now I understand the importance of the questioning and the searching, and how important it is for myself to see how God is present instead of focusing on how he is absent. So I found him, I found God, but my heart had to be ready and my eyes had to be ready to receive him, because if they weren't ready, then I still would have been focusing on how he was absent. So I guess I just want to challenge you guys with that. And some of you I know have had probably some intense experiences where this has already happened to you, and it's transformed your faith. But I just hope that what I really want to do is walk through life with open eyes to see God, and to see how he is present every day of life, and how he is trying to grab a hold of me in those present moments and say, this is how I'm working, this is how I want you to see me. So I leave kind of just with this passage that I found from Matthew 13, and it's when the disciples asked Jesus, why are you teaching in parables? Why? What's the point of this? And of course, Jesus has an answer, a good answer, and it is, for this people's heart has grown dull, and with their eyes they can barely hear, and with their eyes they have closed, lest they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart in turn. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears they hear. For truly I say to you, many prophets and righteous people long to see what you see, and did not see it, and hear what you hear, and did not hear it. And I don't want my eyes to be shut to a point where God cannot be seen or heard. Because then I'm being blind to his presence, and then my relationship is going to be hurt in the long run. And so I just hope that we can all have eyes to see Jesus and how he's present.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Grace. Love hearing from you about your life and your trip. And I love that passage about having eyes to see and ears to hear. And one thing that I love about the strange promises from the God of the Bible is that he promises that he's capable of giving you a new heart. I love that image because sometimes when I need a new heart, it's because something bad has happened to me, right? And my heart is broken or damaged, and I can pray, God, give me a new heart. Or sometimes my heart is totally disinterested in God. And then I can pray again, God, give me a new heart, give me a passion for you. And God loves those prayers. God is faithful in doing those things. What I love about this passage that Grace read in her story is about having eyes that can see what God is doing, ears that can hear his voice. Here's what I want to suggest to you guys, that wherever you're at in your walk with God, if you can't hear him, if you can't see him, if you're disinterested, if you don't care, or if it's never made sense to you, this passage offers us this super powerful prayer. God, give me eyes to see you in my life, and God, give me ears to hear your voice in a new way. It's our job to keep asking for those types of things. As we're going through confirmation, kind of the theme verse is from 2 Corinthians, and it says this, that if you put your faith in Jesus, you are a new creation. A new creation. And so this is the thing that we can ask from God. God, give me a new heart, a heart for you. Give me a heart that cares, or give me a heart that's healed from this hurt. Or God, give me new eyes to see you. Or God, give me ears to hear your voice. I feel like I've never heard you before, God. Or God, I feel like I used to hear you and I can't anymore. Give me ears to hear you. So here's what I want to do now. We have maybe 10 minutes left. And I want us to pray together. I want you guys to find a partner to pray with, or come pray with me, or Andrew or Grace. And I want you to spend some time praying. Invite someone to pray with you to have this new heart, or new eyes, or new ears. You want to hear God, you want to see him in a new way. And if you don't want to pray with someone else, that's fine. You can pray by yourself. Let's do that for 10 minutes. I'll put on some music, and then you're welcome to pray with whoever you like.